There are stories in sports that make you sit up, blink twice, and wonder how everything fell apart so quickly. This is one of those stories. A former NBA guard known for toughness, noise, and relentless defense, Patrick Beverley, is now facing a third-degree felony charge after deputies say he attacked his own teenage sister in the early hours of November 14th in Fort Bend County, Texas. Officials alleged choking, lifting her by the neck, slamming her into walls, and punching her. This is not a wild foul in a playoff game or a heated argument on a podcast. This is a case that could put him behind bars for years. What makes this even more shocking is how it connects to a long pattern of escalating behavior that followed him from the court into real life. Before we go deeper, a quick warning. Some of the details are disturbing, so if you are sensitive to stories involving violence, this might be a tough one to watch. If you stay, you are about to see how a gritty rise from Chicago turned into one of the darkest spirals in recent NBA memory. Long before any police report ever mentioned his name, he was a kid from the west side of Chicago who had to fight for every inch of his future. He was not a top-tier recruit. He was not a chosen superstar. He was raw talent built from street courts, constant pressure, and a need to prove something every single day. He made it to Arkansas and flashed real ability, but academic issues ended his college career before it ever found its rhythm. With no NBA door open, he went where most players never dare to go. He spent around 5 years grinding overseas in Ukraine, Greece, and Russia, playing in cold gyms with strange schedules and no guarantee that any of it would lead him back home. In 2012, he finally broke through by winning Eurocup MVP with Spartak St. Petersburg, showing he was more than a role player. When the NBA finally came calling, there was one more obstacle. His family helped buy out his overseas contract so he could sign with Houston. They literally paid to give him a chance. That is how badly they believed in him. His story should have stayed inspirational. It should have been a lesson in persistence. Instead, it became the setup for a long fall. When he arrived in Houston in 2013 at age 24, he did not come in as a scorer or a highlight reel. He came in as a spark who treated every possession like it was the last one he would ever play. He was the guy who picked up point guards full court, slapped at dribbles, dove across the floor, and brought pure chaos to every moment. Fans called him Mr. 94 Feet because he would chase you from baseline to baseline with no fear and no breaks. Over the next decade, he carved out a 12-year NBA career despite modest stats. He made 3 all-defensive teams, including a first-team selection in 2017, won the skills challenge, and built a reputation as one of the most disruptive defenders in the league. Some fans loved him for it. They saw a hard-working underdog proving that grit can match talent. Others thought he crossed the line far too often. They saw a player who blurred the difference between intense and dangerous. That tension followed him everywhere he went. Everything changed in the 2013 playoffs. During a timeout, Russell Westbrook casually moved toward the sideline while signaling for a break. The whistle blew, and what happened next became one of the most replayed moments of that postseason. The guard lunged at Westbrook's knee, trying to poke the ball loose, even though the play was clearly dead. The collision tore Westbrook's meniscus and ended his playoff run. Oklahoma City went from championship contender to vulnerable overnight. Fans were furious. Analysts shredded him. Westbrook carried the anger for years. It did not matter whether the play was intentional or just reckless. What mattered was the result. A superstar was hurt and a franchise lost its momentum. From that day forward, this guard had a label he could never escape. For some people, he was no longer a relentless defender. He was reckless, dangerous, and out of control. The feud with Westbrook lasted years, with both players throwing jabs on the court and in interviews. This moment became the blueprint for a pattern that kept repeating. As the years went on, the incidents did not stop. They just changed shape. The clashes with Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, and other stars grew louder. The technical fouls piled up. The confrontations felt more personal. Teams valued his grit, but public opinion kept shifting. Then came the moment that many people still cannot believe actually happened. During the 2024 playoffs with the Milwaukee Bucks, frustration boiled over. As the Bucks were being blown out by Indiana, he turned toward the stands and threw a basketball at a female fan, hitting her in the head. Then he called for the ball, got it back, and fired it at another fan, twice. in a playoff game on live television. The league suspended him for 4 games, and the fans filed a lawsuit. After that, no NBA team wanted to bring him in. He eventually signed with Hapoel Tel Aviv in Israel, but even there, his time ended in a suspension and a quick exit. The pattern was impossible to ignore at this point. Every time he stepped onto a court or a stage, the chaos seemed to follow. As his NBA career faded, he moved into media and found a new arena for his intensity. Podcasts became his platform. He teamed up with Jason Williams and other media personalities, turning bold opinions into viral moments. He made comments about Klay Thompson, Megan Thee Stallion, and other figures that sparked mini firestorms across social feeds. His shows blew up because people wanted to see what he would say next. It was entertainment, but it was also a sign that he had built his identity around confrontation. Drama was not just something he stumbled into, it was something he created on purpose. The problem is that living in constant controversy can blur boundaries in your personal life. Eventually, the pressure pot explodes somewhere. That brings us to the night that changed everything. On November 14th in Fort Bend County, Texas, everything came crashing down. According to the affidavit, his 15-year-old sister had snuck out in the middle of the night to meet her 18-year-old boyfriend at a nearby park. When she returned, her mother was waiting. She told her daughter to go to her room, asked the boyfriend to come inside, and then called her son to come over. What happened next is where the case turns dark. The sister told investigators that after he arrived, he scolded her, then grabbed her by the neck with both hands, lifted her off the floor, and squeezed for around 20 to 30 seconds. She said she felt pain, could not breathe, and started losing oxygen. She reported that he dragged her by the neck into another area of the house, slammed her into walls, and then put her on a sofa before punching her once in the left eye. She also said he threatened that he would be the family member who would end her life. Deputies noted visible marks on her neck and small red spots in her eyes, which are classic signs of restricted blood flow. He was arrested and charged with assault on a family or household member impeding breath or circulation. He posted a $40,000 bond and was released. His attorney says the affidavit is exaggerated and emotional. They argue that he was a protective brother who panicked after learning his minor sister had been with an adult male. They claim the events did not unfold the way the report describes. He posted on social media telling people not to believe everything online and asking for prayers for his family. Now the truth will be decided in court. A third-degree felony in Texas is serious. Assault that impedes breath or circulation is treated as a high-risk offense because strangulation can cause major injury or death in seconds. If convicted, he faces anywhere from 2 to 10 years in state prison and fines reaching $10,000. However, this is his first criminal charge, which could influence the outcome. Many first-time offenders receive plea deals that result in probation, counseling, and strict conditions. The strength of the evidence, witness testimony, and the physical markings noted by officers will play major roles in how this case unfolds. A civil lawsuit is also possible, just as the Pacers fans filed one after the 2024 ball throwing incident. Even if he avoids prison, his public life is already damaged. No NBA team is waiting for him. Media companies will distance themselves. Sponsors will not take the risk. The impact of this case is going to follow him whether or not he spends time behind bars. This story is more than a legal case. It is a lesson about what happens when a persona becomes a cage. For years, he built his value on aggression, edge, and confrontations. Coaches loved his intensity. Teammates admired his fearlessness. Fans debated whether he was a hero or a villain. But over time, the edge that made him special became the edge that pushed him over lines. A reckless lunge became a feud. A feud became multiple clashes. A clash with fans became a suspension. A suspension became an exile. And now, allegations inside his own home have become the darkest chapter yet. In psychology, there is a concept called escalation. When you invest your identity in one extreme trait, you keep pushing that trait further until it consumes everything else. That is what this looks like. A pattern that kept intensifying until it reached a breaking point that hurt not just a career, but an entire family. His sister may carry trauma from that night for years. His mother witnessed a nightmare. His family now faces public scrutiny that will not disappear easily. So where does this story end? Not in an arena, not in a jersey, not in a podcast studio. It ends in a courtroom in Texas, where he now has to defend himself against one of the most serious allegations of his life. Whether he is found guilty or not, his public legacy will forever be shaped by this case. He will not be remembered most for defense or grit or all defensive honors. He will be remembered for a pattern of behavior that kept getting worse until everything collapsed at home. It did not have to end this way. At any point, the aggression could have been checked, the identity could have shifted, the pattern could have stopped, but it did not. Now a teenage girl is allegedly hurt, a family is fractured, and a career built on toughness stands in ruins. I want to hear what you think. Is this the final step in a long string of red flags? Or is this a situation that spiraled out of control in one night? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit like if you want more deep breakdowns, and subscribe for more stories that reveal the truth behind the headlines. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next upload.